When I woke up alone that morning, the other side of the bed was cold. The clock on the nightstand read 6:42 a.m., and the faint hum of rain pressed against the windows. For a moment, I thought maybe Emily had just gone out for an early jog like she sometimes did on weekends. But then my eyes drifted to her side of the dresser. Her purse was gone. Her car keys too. I reached for my phone. No messages. No missed calls. A hollow feeling settled in my chest. Not panic, not yet. Just a quiet, gnawing unease. I told myself not to overthink. She had gone to dinner the night before with some co-workers to celebrate a project launch. Maybe she'd stayed over at a friend's place to avoid driving in the rain. That would make sense, right? But deep down something felt off. By 8:15, the unease had turned into something darker. Emily was always the type to check in, a quick "don't wait up," or even just an emoji. Silence wasn't like her. Called once. Rang, then went to voicemail. I tried again an hour later. Straight to voicemail this time. By noon I was pacing the living room, staring at the muted TV. That's when I noticed her iPad still charging on the counter. I told myself I shouldn't. That I trusted her. That I wasn't the kind of husband who snooped. But my hand reached for it anyway. The screen lit up, no password. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. Her messages with someone named Nate W. were right there. Hundreds of them. My throat went dry as I scrolled. The last few from the previous night made my vision blur. Nate. You sure about this? Emily. Yeah. He thinks I'm with coworkers. Don't worry. Nate. I don't want to cause trouble. Emily. You won't. I've wanted this for weeks. There were photos too, blurry low-lit images from a bar. Her smiling. A man's hand on her waist. Then later, one from inside what looked like a hotel room. I dropped the iPad like it burned. My legs gave out and I just sat there on the kitchen floor staring at the tile, hearing the sound of rain hammering the windows harder and harder. She came home at 2:47 p.m. I didn't move. Just sat at the dining table, staring at the door when I heard the lock turn. Emily stepped in, drenched from the rain, her hair stuck to her cheek. She looked startled when she saw me sitting there, like she hadn't expected me to be home. Hey, she said, her voice small. You're up early. Where were you? Her eyes flickered, just for a second before she gave a tired sigh. I told you. I went out with the team. We got a hotel because it was late, and I'd been drinking. I said nothing. She dropped her purse, rubbing her temples. Can we not do this right now? I'm exhausted. Please. I didn't move, didn't blink. Which hotel? She froze mid-step. Excuse me. Which hotel, Emily? I repeated, my voice low. She stammered. I don't remember the name. Downtown somewhere. Why are you interrogating me? That was when I slid the iPad across the table toward her. It stopped just short of her hand. Her face went pale. You went through my... Just tell me who Nate is. She looked like she might faint. He's a friend. A friend. I let out a bitter laugh. Is that what we're calling it now? Her lip trembled, and for a moment I thought she might confess. But instead she straightened up, crossing her arms. You're reading too much into it. Those texts don't mean anything. Then why delete the last ones? I said quietly. Her jaw clenched. Because I knew you'd react like this. That was it, the final insult. Not the affair itself, but the casual dismissal. The refusal to take responsibility. I stood up slowly, my hands shaking. You could have just told me you weren't happy, Emily. You didn't have to humiliate me. She opened her mouth to respond, but I walked past her, grabbed my coat and left. I spent that night in my truck, parked outside the small park near our neighborhood where we used to walk our dog before he passed. I didn't sleep. I just sat there, watching the rain taper off, watching the clouds break into gray streaks. Every memory, every laugh, every quiet Sunday morning, replayed in my mind like a cruel joke. How many of those moments had already been fake? Check my phone. Nothing. Then, at 8:02 a.m., her text came through. Emily. I'm sorry about last night. I made a mistake. Please come home so we can talk. I stared at it for a long time. Mistake. That's what she called it. Like she'd spilled a glass of wine, not shattered a marriage. Another message followed a minute later. Emily. I don't even know what I was thinking. It didn't mean anything, I swear. I just felt lost. That word made something in me snap. I didn't reply. Instead, I drove home. When I walked in, she was sitting on the couch, her eyes red and swollen. She jumped up when she saw me. Thank God, she said, rushing toward me. Please let me explain. I stepped back. Don't, I said quietly. Don't touch me. She froze, tears welling up again. I know I hurt you. I can't undo what I did, but it was just one night. It didn't mean anything. Please believe me. I laughed bitterly. One night. You planned it for weeks. You lied to my face, told me you were working late, while you were texting him right next to me on the couch. Her face crumpled. I was lonely, Mark. You've been so distant lately. Ever since your dad died, it's like you shut me out. The words hit like a punch, because they weren't entirely false. I had pulled away after Dad's death. Grief had swallowed me whole, and Emily had said I was emotionally unavailable. Maybe she was right, but cheating, that wasn't fixing anything. That was escaping. You don't get to use my pain as an excuse for what you did, I said quietly. You made a choice. I know, she whispered, crying harder. I know I did. But I'll do anything to fix it. I'll cut him off. I'll go to counseling. Emily, I interrupted softly. You already did something I can't come back from. She shook her head. Don't say that. Please don't give up on us. I looked at her. This woman I'd once believed I'd grow old with, and all I could feel was the weight of everything she'd destroyed. The trust, the tenderness, the sense of home. I'm not giving up, I said finally. You did. That night I packed a bag. She watched silently from the doorway as I folded my clothes. Her hands trembled, clutching the edge of her sweater. Where will you go? She asked, her voice barely audible. My brother's. For now. She nodded, wiping tears from her cheeks. Can I at least call you? I didn't answer. Before I left, she whispered. I still love you, Mark. Paused at the door. Then you should have acted like it. Weeks passed. I didn't block her, but I didn't reach out either. She sent messages sometimes. Long paragraphs of apologies, shorter ones of regret. Then silence. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your sense of reality. You start doubting every memory, every promise, every I love you ever heard. I started therapy. I threw myself into work. I even started running again, something I'd stopped doing years ago. Every morning when the world was still quiet, I'd jog through that same park where I'd spent the night in my truck. And slowly the anger dulled. The heartbreak didn't vanish, but it stopped owning me. Then, one morning nearly 2 months later, I got another text. Emily. I signed the papers. You were right. I gave up on us first. I hope someday you can forgive me. I'll always wish things had gone differently. I read it twice. For the first time in months, I didn't feel pain reading her name. Just acceptance. Typed a reply. Me. I already forgave you. But that doesn't mean I want you back. No anger. No bitterness. Just truth. I hit send, took a deep breath, and watched the sun rise over the park. The light touched the wet grass, and for a fleeting second, I felt something close to peace. Later that week, I stopped by our old house to pick up the last of my things. She wasn't there, she'd moved out a few days earlier. The rooms were half empty, echoes of a life that once felt permanent. I walked through them slowly, remembering the laughter, the arguments, the quiet nights on the couch. When I reached the kitchen, I noticed she'd left something on the counter. A small envelope with my name written in her handwriting. Inside was a photo, The two of us at the beach years ago, smiling, sunburned, carefree. On the back she'd written, "For what it's worth, I did love you. I just lost myself somewhere along the way." I stood there for a long moment staring at that line. Then I folded the photo, slipped it into my jacket pocket, and walked out. As I closed the door behind me, I realized something. She might have broken me for a time, but she didn't destroy me. Sometimes the hardest kind of strength isn't walking away in anger. It's walking away without it. And for the first time since that morning she stayed out all night, I finally felt free.